Welcome back. We have a new champion on the desk. It is Goldberg. Welcome back.
Wow, introducing new champion spotlight, Goldberg, the Dane. I didn't have.
Well, that was.
You know, it's
not
bad
good.
when that's the greatest quality I can give myself as well.
Do you want me to introduce like a new challenge?
You're a voice actor. You can make things epic. Give me something great. What am I?
Goldberg appears, and you have like the soundtrack, like haha. That would be perfect for you. Like it fits the persona.
I thought you were gonna bring the Smash soundtrack in instead. Then like you like epic fireworks, everything. Trouble, how are you doing?
So the next game is going to be MNM versus X7.
Yeah.
And something really important about this game is that last time these two teams played, thank you very much. Last time these two teams played, MNM was that close to taking X7 down. Had it not been for the down tier 2 top lane tower where all teams overextend after Baron and throw the games, I think that MNM had pretty good chances of taking X7 down. Now, given MNM's current form and how they haven't necessarily been able to have this clean early to mid game, I don't know if we're going to necessarily see the same competitiveness in this one.
The same thing was as well. I do remember X7 back then had a little bit of a more interesting draft as well. They didn't have the best win condition. We had the Twitch Nami, I believe they came through with as well.
It was Tom and Jerry.
Oh, it was Tom and Jerry, great.
Twitch Yumi.
Twitch Yumi, that was the case, thank you. There was an enchanter on the Twitch, so the old classic rat combo. So I think this time around, if you come in with a proper composition as well as something that's a little bit more meta as well, MNM won't have the same kind of chance. And I completely agree with you because I think that MNM has not been where we wanted them to be. I think they had a really good read on the meta when they started playing through Kanon and Engager, and specifically through the mid and jungle, having Michigu as a reliable backline carry. It seemed like then something clicked a little bit in the team because I don't necessarily think there's always something wrong with their drafting. I think it more goes into the in-game perspective of MNM's decisions.
Right. So right here we're targeting mid lane where Elkani has played the action before and he's very oppressive.
He's never getting that again.
Faker is also very oppressive when it comes to playing like these close quarter fights when you have like the Aurelias, the Camille's diving in, things like the Knights. It's very difficult to just reach the backline, especially because of the short cooldown of the cage. And of course Michigu's Ziggs has been a problem all around because he's so good at playing that. Now of course all ADCs are up for grabs except for the Zeri. Also, I was about to say Kana's Hecarim, but at this point it's Haru's Hecarim because he's played it to more success.
It's true. Now this puts it in another interesting position where you get to have Thresh finally available as well with one of these hyper carries if you're looking for it. Can always third pick a jungler. You know that that pool is still vast and deep. You don't have to worry about it right now. You can still wait for it. Is this a throwback to the Udyr Hecarim meta we had for the longest time ever? Because, I mean, Udyr has seen play again. And yes, we're back with it.
Speak up play.
Yes, we have seen it in NA2. And now, you can secure a Jinx for yourself if you want to play towards the bot side. You can go for the Thresh as well if that's where you want to just have that extra support to back these up, but no, they're going to go with the Cillian instead. The extra movement speed for the Udyr.
Is Zumi's?
Hear me out.
Or the hunting dog?
Hear me out. We've seen in the LCK, Hullbreaker Rek'Sai. Let me introduce you Udyr jungle Hullbreaker, because he can definitely do the same thing. You can split push with the Udyr. He's really fast. He's got the zoomies on his own. He doesn't necessarily need the Zilean on the side lane. So you can have this on MNM as a double threat for a side lane.
Yes, but now for sure the rotation has to be Jinx and Thresh here. I feel like you just go for this now because if you don't, they'll just first pick the AD carry for themselves. So I feel like, yes, you get some finicky comps now from the side of MNM. But so far, I'm way more happy with the rotation coming through right now currently from X7 because it's just very easy to play for right now. You have someone that can peel for you, have an engage right now. And you have now the core components to build it up with a control mage and just with a stable top laner.
What I'm just really worried about is that Kana is usually the trigger for MNM. He's the one pulling the trigger, engaging fights, creating early game opportunities. With Udyr, if we recall back to like the Nidalee Graves, Udyr, Hecarim meta, you usually just want to stick in your jungle, farm it up, and be a nuisance later on, right? Just farm, be a huge tank. Yes, you can go with the camp tank, you can go with the Hullbreaker, you can just do what you want, but he's not just as active in the early game as something like a Lee Sin, like a Viego, that you want to be impacting lanes with, or even a Hecarim where level 6 you want to go in and create opportunities. So I'd like to see the movements on the map right here for Kana. What can you pair this up with to make it more relevant in the early game? Because the only thing that Kanin has played into a bigger success, I would say, is the Vex, and I'm expecting this to possibly get banned here.
Yeah, so another thing that's probably going to get banned here is some of the AD carries that's still left up and available because they decided to prioritize the support from the side of MNM. So I think Varus goes out here. Aphelios might be another good shout. Just make sure that whatever they pick down in that bot lane, it has to weak side. Then you do still have the benefit of the doubt on the side of MNM in the fact that they have R5, and you can give that to your top laner. I think the idea right now currently for MNM is that ban out 2 mid laners, let's have a mid laner that didn't do well into them, and then forfeit the mid laner and give a counter for Babista.
The fact that you're banning here the Vex tells me that you want to R5 for Royal Cannon. So we could potentially see the Zillion go up the top lane to Babista, and it could be
Oh yeah, completely.
Flex.
You're completely right about that.
I think here they might pick something like an Ezreal. If you want to completely weak side both side of the map, this is why the Jhin was banned, this is why the Varus was banned. These are usually typically really safe laners that you can play with, or they might just do the exact opposite.
No, I was going to say, you know, it's funny. It's funny. I literally just said they're going to start banning out AD carries because that haven't been picked yet. And then I started saying, so we're looking for a mid laner when you could have definitely, well, Cillian's obviously going up towards that top or mid lane instead.
Could be mid, yeah.
AD is definitely going to come through here and you save that solo lane for the last one. So X7, I think you still have tools. You can go forward with this one. Syndra is fine as well with the scatter. We know that's something Tempt had liked to default with to in the past as well. So we've seen it on Victor multiple times. I think Control Mage is definitely just something that can come out. And, you know, short range against Udyr is not all too bad, but against the likes of MF compared with a Nautilus, you can get caught off guard, but I still think this is a fine pick that can get you priority. It can give you movement around the map with Realm Warp, and then I just think we're going to be getting a stable. You can get Bruiser for a top laner right now for Jaeger, and you can just say, let's get Gragas, let's get it on, and let's just get some backline access.
Or you can get the one champion that builds Hullbreak and literally take your entire base.
Will it just take inhibitor while everyone else is at the other side of the map?
Yeah.
Question, do you pick Gangplank for Babista now? You have the slow, you can slow down the teams, allow Udyr to come in fast.
No,
and
no,
you can build Hullbreaker.
I don't think that is the case here. You definitely go for a champion that can build Hullbreaker, aka Camille, Graves. You can even go with the Tryndamere, if you will. So something that can match the Gnar in a side lane. Now, Jace is one of these champions where if he has to match Hullbreaker here because Gnar is extremely strong on the one-on-one when he does build Hullbreaker, which takes down a lot of the power of the Jace. Unless you play completely top side of the map, so Udyr perma spams the Gnar and puts him behind, so then the Jace can go into an Eclipse and more of an AD route on his build, where he can be like super poke later on. If that doesn't happen, he has to match Hullbreaker, and that takes down a lot of the power from the Jace.
Very easy execution for X7. At least the team seems perfect on paper. The other side is a little bit more, spicy.
They got good lockdown. Like, one member gets CC, double bond on top, Udyr stun. Like, you can have really good pick potential. So vision control and the fact you can play it without vision pockets will always be a little bit of a slight win condition for you, even if you fall behind in the early game. But I am worried for you if you fall behind, because there's a lot of tools right now from the side of MNM to just collapse on you as well.
X7 are looking to just secure that first place with only one defeat so far. On the other side, MNM are trying to get another victory, and they bring back the bear, the hunter. And I'm sending to the casters with a whoa, 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 whoa.
Prepare for trouble, she's on the desk.
The Hapgoods are double.
To protect our lanes from jungle invasion.
To unite all the Northern League nations.
To denounce the evils of Prime League and stuff.
To take our teams to EU Masters above.
Initialize.
Chimera.
Team Hapgoods cast games at the speed of light.
Surrender at 15 or prepare to fight.
Yes!
Yeah. And I'll see that's right.
There we go.
Okay, video games. Right, should probably talk about that.
We have got an Udyr Zillion on one side for MNM with a misfortune for the first time this split, alongside Haru on Hecarim.
I'm glad you were paying attention to that, because I spent most of the
time writing that script. Yes, I know.
What was going to happen there. So, with Udyr, obviously we've been seeing Udyr come back a little bit more, and Udyr with the move speed buff becomes really scary. Yes. Of course, you've got the ability to fall clear, become a very tanky, annoying, hard to remove CC bot that actually does significant damage. Now, he's had a lot of nerfs since that that time of
the halcyon days.
Halcyon days of 2021
last
spring of MSI back then, but it's still something to take into the equation when you do have
disaster. There's no flash on Udyr. I can't say flash bear slap.
Oh, damn.
I'm immediately disappointed. What could you do to Mikana?
So the thing is, every time I see Udyr, I think of our good friend and Udyr main Middlecott, who absolutely despises the rune phase rush and often talks about Aftershock on Udyr. This time he's gone for the lethal tempo, much more dueling potential. It's not the Conqueror of old. But then again, Conqueror's been nerfed a lot since, again, those Halcyon days. So I hope that rune choice pleases him, because I've got no... I haven't the foggiest about Udyr builds, I'm not going to lie. I'm just like, he does damage, he'll auto-attack you a bit. But this seems to be going more towards the early dueling potential.
As far as I've seen, I have seen a little bit of it. Malice, for example, over in Cloud9 Academy has been building it. It's been propping up a little bit there. It tends to be the Chem Tank build. Of course, it's relatively strong right now. And can clear, can definitely be a good setup for this team. A lot of control with the Zilean. You roam to one of those side lanes and someone between Zilean, Udyr, and Nautilus hooks someone down for Jace and Misfortune to press R or press Q and blow them up. And
absolutely, because you look at the Misfortune and they're like, well, yeah, not seen much of that. Is still very lane dominant in a lot of the ways that it works. When you have the point-and-click CC, much like you do with something like Ziggs lanes, you can get some serious kill combos. Speaking of kill combos, or at least potential top lane fighting a lot already. You do expect that about the Jace. And it's very important for me, again, to see if MNM can get a lead for the Jace and make things work out for this side, because though there might be a strong lane in the Jace, much like that bot side in the Misfortune, this is a lane which needs to stay ahead of the Narcs. If you get to steel caps, you get to that hull breaker, you really struggle as the Jace. It's one thing's keeping him down in the meta right now.
And I want to call out as well, the last time we saw Haru on Hecarim, he eviscerated JDXL. I put it another ways, but like, he came through and basically decided that he wasn't really riding a horse anymore. He's sort of like, you know that scene where it's Lord of the Rings, Battle of Pelennor Fields, and they've got the massive charge to hear him, and it looks really good, and then they turn around and it's just like ginormous Mumakil, ginormous elephants. It's like they've turned around, they think it's going really well, and then there's just this monstrous...
hook cancelled, Nat is called out!
Oh, that's so sad. Never mind Lord of the Rings references, never mind that. Flash forward for First Bloods, and MNM take us away from story time.
Oh man, what an awful mistake from Nat. Recalls on a ward, they had that lane position, and Kassin goes to roam, and that's a cut down to size. I mean, I don't really know if there's an appropriate movie reference for that one. That is just, that's a horror story if anything.
But having said that, Mr. Kubo and Dr. Chaos have now both burnt Flash, and Haru is around. If Kassin can help set up for this, this could be a very dead bomb. That's a double play into the hook. Mr. Kubo gonna get charged back. I'm gonna get Stargate run down. The Make It Rain comes through, but I don't think there's any money coming through for anybody but X7. Nata returns to get his assist, and it's a double to Haru's Hecarim again in the early game.
Oh, and they have to bring us right into a replay just to double down on how much this hurts. Double buffs, very quick clear coming in from the Hecarim, and Haru's just there in time, and it's 2 overstays from 2 bot lanes, and it's 2 kills to the Hecarim. We saw, you referenced back to it, it was that JDXL game, match of the split we were hyping it up to be, and it just didn't deliver because Haru decided it wouldn't be delivered. He decided to cut it off early, and this is another game where you sat there thinking, oh my gosh, it's all well and good you got this kill combo, but Hecarim, when he gets up to Chem Tank and something like a Deadman's or something like a Frozen Heart, what do you do as MNM at that point?
We occasionally get reminded. And we do quite a lot of reminding on cast as well, but we occasionally get reminded by the play as well that Haru has quite the caliber, quite the history to him. Remember, he has got that jungle skin for Ezreal of all champions, a champion of many years, really, in a lot of ways, and come over to the ERLs looking to find a kind of new start, a new lease on his career, and has done pretty extraordinary things.
Bringing it back to that one player, he's setting up for a top side something or other. He looks in towards potential dive attempts, chooses to err on the side of caution. Discretion is the better part of Valor in this case, and Cannon turns up shortly after to spot out that pink ward, which of course was what gave Haru away in the first place. Well spotted by that ward, so while he didn't see the champion, saw the control ward went down, joined the dots, and Babista will carry on his laning phase for now.
Yeah, a little note here as well. I'm not sure whether this is standard, but Kassin running Minion Dematerializer on the Thresh.
So, I mean, that calls back to what we saw when it was back with 6 charges. We actually saw this a lot in mid lane too, which is probably why I know about it, because I had to deal with it for so long. Is that effectively once a cannon minion turns up, you're just like, well, sweet, cool, we take that. And the other thing is that when you're against something like a Nautilus Misfortune, very, very bursty, you're not going to be in range of the cannon minion all the time. We saw it a lot more on stuff like Leona and Nautilus. No, sorry, Leona and Alistar rather, which couldn't necessarily auto-attack the minion that they could use to get to level 6 or control the wave. It gives you the ability to instantly shove, instantly get out the map and kind of take control of your lane after that point. And then if the other support doesn't have that, of course, they don't have the ability to contest it. The thing with Dematerializer is that often when one person takes it, you're almost necessitating
to take it back in trade.
The other person take it as well. Much like your Hull Breakers, actually, as well.
And you know, against someone like a Misfortune as well, who's often very lane dominant, it's a way to kind of potentially buy, cheat lane priority. And obviously, when you said those cannon waves are there, Kana right now is going to think about looking at a dragon. Was wondering whether Haru would start up, of course. You did see Tempt and Haru, that Korean combo, come roaming over to see whether there was a dive available. Haru was hanging around at that tri-bush behind the bot lane tier 1. There was Realm Warp available for Tempt. You could see that the inklings of a setup there never came through to anything. And instead, having swept the river, Kana will decide he's got the opportunity to go for an early dragon.
Okay, so we can talk about all that setup and say, oh, maybe it didn't work out on the top side, but kind of Haru's already kind of done his job. He's got the 2 kills. He's going to get to early items. He's got the extra XP from those kills. They're on a very efficient timing with his camps too. So again, just really hyping up the name of this player and saying, look, Haru's really good. X7 are really good. Now, calling back to some previous results, obviously X7 only lost the 1 game so far. That was against Bifrost. That was through bot lane not going so well for them. They did get caught out and they kind of crumbled to a Poppy jungle, which counted their comp. But MNM, just before that, pushed X7 really, really hard. Now, they didn't get to close out that game. That is why it is only at that 1 loss, and that is not to their name. But if we're going to track this game a little more, let's see if MNM can try and recapture some of the form they found on that day, and they desperately need it in the race for playoffs. They are 4, they are on 9. Babista,
here we go,
is having a bad time.
He's got himself an acceleration gate, but it's just not quite enough. Will try and get out, but even with the hammer blow, cannot disengage enough. An onslaught of shadows into a final couple auto secures a kill for Jaeger.
And that is a very impactful kill, because Jace wants to be stable in the lane, wants to be more than stable in the lane, particularly against something like that Gnar, because you know that the Gnar eventually is going to build up to that. One item, but it's not going to stop in the top lane. It's mid too.
Yeah, it's time to not pass go and instead go to Rune Prison, courtesy of Tempt.
And he's just collect 300 gold. That's actually going towards X7.
Indeed. They've got bounties to go to collect those. They want that one, though, is you do give Mishigu some time alone on this bot side. We'll be able to get at least a plate, but he's actually going to have to back off because Nata and Kasing, having got the kill in mid, will be able to roam that bot.
Sam, considering that it's actually X7 that have got the bounties, do you reckon we could be in for the Book of Babista Fett? If he gets some lucky kills. Look, Kasing's dying! Talk about that!
Truly tragic, but that's a good use of the ultimate from Misfortune. Bullet time, not quite enough as yet, but apparently it does strike twice, and that clock comes through to secure a kill. Nata now locked up, and that was a slick combo from Dr. Chaos. A double kill to Mishigu. This bot lane, baby.
And 1 bad pun and 3 good kills later, MNM draw even. They do pick up a lot of that gold floating around the map. Babista gets to take down another a plate in that top side, gets a kill to their name, and MNM explode back into even footing. Starts off again with X7 being on the bad end of some bush control. It started with that catch onto Nata, of course, way back in the early game, and this time it's Kasing who bites the bad end of this, and you cannot fight against level 6 to level 6 in this 2v2. This is one of the hardest spiking ultimate lanes in the 2v2 game.
The amount of CC the Nautilus brings to ensure that Misfortune's bullet time will hit absolutely everybody for the entire time is super strong. Also meant that that stopwatch that was there for Kasing has been popped very early to little gain, and it does keep MNM in this game. Getting gold onto your Misfortune is going to be one of your very important carries come the objective fight is critical. 2 kills, a plate, and of course, at least only 1,000 gold as a discrepancy now as an overall team. Yes, Haru is damn strong. Yes, he has a cam tank, but it's matched by Mishiku on the Gale Force. The question is if that's going to be enough to keep him alive when everybody comes charging for him.
I'm going to hazard a guess and say probably not. I think that this game is going to come down to if MNM can find someone before actually X7 are ready to pile onto you, because I feel like if Hecarim finds enough people, if Hecarim is close enough to the rest of his team, this is going to be very, very difficult for MNM to survive the initial onslaught.
Herald was picked up by Haru earlier. There's a lot of plates that have gone down here. That means it should be a relatively easy pickup.
Okay.
Haru is rooted, but does have an aura of dread. Dr. Chaos forced to flash. The bullet time comes through, but doesn't get that much value. 2 plates go down. Herald is stopped, but do X7 feel comfortable enough to try and pick up the dregs of this tower, but they won't complete the demolition quite yet. They'll just leave it there as derelict and ready for destruction.
You can see that Mishiku didn't really want to pop that ult because he sat there thinking there is still a cancel from Haru. If he does pop that ult, need to make sure that this fight isn't going to collapse as soon as we commit to it. Now, Haru has managed to regain a lot of that HP, which he lost from that bullet time. Of course, that ultimate no longer available. So X7 didn't finish it off on that wave. And they're going to look to,
Try and stop the back.
Stop some backs, as they do in the mid lane.
That's actually really important because there's 30 seconds on this Drake. And yes, there's a teleport, but it gives Tempt another chance to push this wave in.
And what it does is because often what you do as a mid laner, you recall before a cannon wave so you can walk up with it because it's harder to kill said cannon wave. It forces the TP, so Royal Cannon doesn't end up losing the majority of quite a high gold value wave when it is that cannon alongside it. So micro advantage alongside the much more tangible reward of the plates and the tower and bot side.
Absolutely, and it does even up a little bit some of the uglier plays that have gone on in that 2v2, where Nata, of course, got caught out a little bit early when there was the early roam from Kasing, and just some good play there with the bush bait. Babista about to wish he was in a Disney movie, because this is looking more like a slow-motion moped chase as he is brought down low.
What do you mean? I didn't see him doing a 360 before he shot the ground right there.
He did a 360, but unfortunately Haru was like a Mach 5 speeder and comes down and crushes the very much slower motion Jace.
Okay, well, maybe a slightly different genre, as Nata seems to be on absolute heist of a game right now as they got all of those plates bot. Getting a lot of these topside too. Nata, while they did die a couple of times in that laning phase, has got a lot of gold to play with from plates at this point. Mishiku, however, not he's pretty affluent too at this point, picking up a couple of kills, picking up a lot of plates too on the bot side. But still, as a whole team, X7 getting the better end of the map traits.
They absolutely are, and it is a kind of hallmark of X7 at this point that we tend to expect strong lane and priority and control from this team. MNM, at least in the bot side, Mishiku and Dr. Chaos doing a pretty good job of punishing the fights for that control, but Haru has come down bot, got that tower for them, got some kills down there with the return gank after the overshove at the early levels. He's done top, got 2 kills up there. The priority you grant to a jungler like Haru is taken and expanded upon so well compared to pretty much every other jungler in the league.
And this is so interesting because you look globally at a lot of junglers right now, and they're not playing quite so selfish.
Nice attempt there.
I was wondering if there was going to be a mind game one, but you look at junglers in general, and they tend to play, or some of the best ones in the world. You look at your Malrang, someone like Ona's a similar kind of example too, where they play for their team. And Kana, speaking of junglers,
I don't know whether you want this. Well, Cannon can come over, and of course does have the chrono shift. Hasn't yet to use it. Instead, we'll just use a time warp to ensure that Kana can run out and do it again sometime.
And then you look at this Udyr, you look at this Hecarim, and you think, these are probably a bit more selfish junglers. They do farm up, they do have a lot more individual power, and that means Haru has the beefy stats to get out of that alive.
Does take a depth charge, but he's a long, long way away, and the depths reading come out a little bit too far for the engage. No torpedo, so to speak, to follow up. And does manage to get out. Now, Dr. Chaos in the spot of bother him, but there's no flash. Does have a dredge. Straight out of it. Kasing looking to outplay the plays that haunted him earlier. Haru continuing chase on. Tempt is coming with a flank. Kana being run down. No way out. No hope. The chrono shift comes through onto the Zillion, but you don't have 2 hearts. You are not Doctor Who. You don't have multiple lives. Instead, you go straight to the death chamber.
And X7, they just pounce. We saw earlier in the day, JDXL falling in a bit of a duff game. X7 have now found themselves lofty, uncontested at the top of these heights in the NLC, and they're not stopping there. They are not content at resting on their laurels, and they pick up this fight so easily.
Let's look at it again, because the flay out of the dredge line is just so clean, and then Haru keeps on the pressure.
And a lot of this comes from actually Tempt saying, boy, I'm going to be in mid lane. See you in 5 seconds or so, because he pops that ghost. One of those combat summoners allows him to roam to the play that much easier. And X7 moving like clockwork and getting to the play on time.
They've got themselves second Herald. They've got themselves a significant gold lead at the moment. That is 5,000 or so gold, just shy of. As a result, at the point of the 15-minute mark, you can see about 1,000 gold is the difference in every single lane.
That's a lot of gold when you total that up. That's actually quite a lot.
It's about 5,000, in fact, one would say.
Incredible, wow. Quick maths.
Incredible.
Right,
My
okay.
ability to read numbers is unparalleled.
Your intellect sometimes, it scares me.
As it should.
And it should probably be scaring
scintillating
MNM at this point, or at least the size of X7 and those said numbers. Very, very scary for them because you were really hoping to blast a couple of these lanes. This bot lane almost did it. Were it not for a jungler by the name of Haru, and then top side, similarly with that Jace, is kind of stuck here going like, well, I'm waiting for a 2-3 items power spike because my early game window has been firmly shut and probably shattered with a horse hoof.
Yeah, he's been somewhat defenestrated out of that window, one would say. Just came up there and the horse come through and lobs him out of it. There's a reference there to those who are watching the LEC, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, let's have a vocab list of really hard words.
I have actually got a vocab list. The one I've yet to find a way to use is rhubarb, which if I can manage that at some point, I'll be very proud. As Mishigu left for third, is going to take an onslaught of shadows. It's rainbow-coloured, but the arcade won't quite find a high score yet.
And Mishigu not quite made into Mishiglue by the horse on the other side.
No!
Haru does pull the ultimate, but what that means is that Mishigu has to use the ult for wave clear, and that's a lot of the fighting potential now gone from MNM. So if they don't have that bullet time, you can't commit to these fights.
Yeah, and it turns out the bullet time was in fact short, not enough of it, and kind of has forced away. They lose inner turrets in mid lane, in bot lane. They do trade for an outer turret in top, but that's really not on the same scale. The amount of gold in inner turrets is just so big at this point with the current standards of League. They're going to roam over and stop a sole point being an option for MNM, and this team struggling to find win conditions right now. Mishigu, yes, 2-1-1, but is struggling to stay safe as we kind of feared.
But one thing you can always kind of have in the back pocket is, well, if they don't catch the misfortune and they just stand in the ultimate, that's a hell of a lot of damage. Now, it's not going to be a clips into Muramana or, you know, something like a Cyril's on top of it. There's still some arm penetration and the Gale Force helps you maneuver around those fights, but it's not quite as 100-0 blink and you'll miss a team wipe from this build. But still, if you walk into double bombs, you walk into a Jace, you walk into that misfortune through a turret point, some of these X7 members will disappear very, very quickly.
And it's so difficult as well right now because there was probably a world where with the Zillion and enough frontline, the misfortune does actually have an okay time at staying alive. The problem is, Haru is the one that picked up so much of the early gold that Hecarim is at 2 items, the second of which is a dead man's play, and he's got Merc Tread, so he's even very difficult to stop.
Oh, the
Dredge line misses, and now Haru will just turn this around. He's unstoppable, quite literally. And with how much gold you are that's on this Hecarim, you can't stay safe with the misfortune very easily. You are going to get charged on, and you're kind of relying on desperation picks like that just don't work out.
Yeah, and I think that was, I would say a Dr. Chaos Emerald in the rough kind of play, but that's a catch, Johnson.
Maybe. They've got it.
That one's better.
Great stuff. And Misfortune starting to find some more. Might be able to pick up a 4th kill here as Kasing gonna fall this time to Babista for a second to him, and that's pretty well played. Kana so fast can maybe keep chasing. Haru has got some rampages and of course a devastating charge to give him space, but Babista going to get rooted and tempt. So much damage, so many roots, can maybe look for a kill, waiting for cooldowns. A spell flux not quite enough, doesn't want to flash for it.
Well, I think at that point you sat there thinking, job done. You don't have the Realm Orb though, and this Udyr is so quick, but hasn't quite found the angle onto tempt.
Overloads come through, and of course you hit one that you can do a spell flux Rune Prison, and suddenly Udyr doesn't really get to run as fast anymore. And that was a good moment for MNM. They're still 6,000 gold behind, but at least they get more gold onto Misfortune. They get another kill onto Bista, and they kind of punish X7, trying to keep the pressure up.
This is also not the first time we've seen Nata occasionally do something very aggressive and get punished for it. Most of the time, he's outplayed his way from those situations, particularly in the first couple of weeks. I'm thinking back to his Aphelios games, which were hilariously entertaining, but also very close to the edge. That one felt like was a little low value for the attempt, though, just kind of pushing him for another wave, trying to get some extra territory on the map controlled with those minions walking up through the lane. And it is a good punish from MNM. The question is, can you do that back to back to back a couple more times to really break the flow which X7 have set up for the majority of this game? That's a small road bump for them.
My eyes still remain on Mishigu, who's got that BF sword. If that turns into potentially an Infinity Edge, my answer becomes, you know, there's an outside chance of that being an option, as Kana also just gets to run at people incredibly quickly and be very dangerous, but Kana takes a lot of trade damage in turn. Chaos goes over the wall. Haru, though, is so damn tanky. Gets a devastating charge forward. The teleport's coming through from Jaeger with the Mega Gnar stunned 2 into the wall. Dr. Guess is going to come over and throw a depth charge, but it means so little at this point, as look how tanky Tempt is. He just takes a whole bullet time, and it's interrupted as Haru charges down the cannons. The Light Brigade win this one.
Ooh.
And they turn to 13 kills to 6.
They do, and again, it's another fight which kind of comes out of nowhere for X7, but they know they have the goal to make it work. MNM don't quite manage to land this engage. They try it with a couple of flashes, a couple of engages too far, and MNM, this is going to be an early exit from this game if they keep pushing.
They are actually going to try and end it. It's 21.5 minutes in, but look, everybody's dead. They've got a wave. Cannon needs to
going to get Jinx excited.
He can't do anything. Jinx will be excited, and you can feel the blood pumping. They're going to get onto the Nexus itself. There's nothing that can be done. MNM are about to be wiped in a rapid turn of events. A double to Nata. It's revenge for the earlier parts of this game, and Haru helps X7 stampede to a 13th win. It ain't unlucky for them.
And this is the kind of game where we go back to those old statements. You remember that old statement? We're not here to win, we are here to traumatize. This was the kind of game you walk away from and the other team thinks, oh heck, I don't want to play them again. And a victory by any other name would smell just as sweet.
Very good. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art you? Actually, Haru, because that was beautiful to behold. Never mind the Prince of Cats. He's the Prince of Horses, apparently, and stampedes over that game, treads them all under hoof, and comes up with a very clean victory. We're going to cut to a break. When we come back, Archrom, I'm sure, will be taking us through some interviews. We've still got more games to go, though, so please go nowhere.
Welcome back to the NLC after a stellar victory from X7, getting even more distance from the second place so far. Really hard to deal with this team. Obviously, I need to talk with a few of them, but we're going for the top lane, Jaeger, who played the Gnar. So I want to talk about that Gnar and why is Gnar being so picked? Is it only because of the Hullbreaker? I'll give you a few questions for the Jaeger, so it is time to welcome him back. Jaeger, hello!
Hello.
Hello, another victory, a fast one at that. And Gnar top lane with Hullbreaker. 3 games in a row with that top laner. Is this something that we have to deal with now?
Yeah, Gnar is pretty strong right now, I would say. It's a good blind pick. It does well every 1v1. And Hullbreaker just made it stronger, I would say, than it was before. Yeah, it's just a solid pick, I think.
So it's only because of the Hullbreaker. It's like that item is allowing Gnar to step back up into the meta, right?
I mean, when Riot nerfed all the fighter items, like Hullbreaker just became like by far the best item, and they kind of like, yeah, I don't like the meta. Like I think the fighter items are too weak now, like to rush, and like I think it's just stupid decision by Riot, honestly, to like there's so much damage already in the game, like all the ADCs one-shot everything, and then they nerf the tanks or like the fighters that are supposed to be like beefy. So yeah, it's just I don't think it's a wise choice, and they don't seem keen on like reverting anything. So it's gonna stay that meta for quite a while.
I agree with you so much. I'm a top laner, and Hullbreaker is something to behold. But tell me, do you enjoy playing the Gnar?
Yeah, it's fine. Like it's like it's not the most fun champ. It's like for me, like Tryndamere and stuff like this is more like fun because you can actually do like get a lot more kills, do a lot more. But Gnar is just like strong pick, and it's like I'll just play it if the team wants me to play it.
Talking about more kills, you got the first penta of the NLC. How did it feel? Let's be honest. Most of what you did was like E and spin to win. How did you feel though?
It still feels good. I think it was my first penta ever in a real game, in a competitive game, I would say. So I maybe I don't remember stuff from like 8 years ago, but I'm fairly certain I never got one. So like it still felt pretty good. Like. And yeah, I don't know.
Congratulations then. Oh, that is awesome. Okay. Looking into your team, Haru is even better than before. He's stepping up so much. His Hecarim is kind of scary. How can you play against Haru? I know it's a weird question because you're on his side, but how can you deal with Haru?
I don't know. Like, I think it's like, it comes from a lot of different stuff. Like, bot lane really like had some oopsies this game, so but me and Tempt were quite dominant in lane, I would say, and we just played like we just play on our turns, and Haru ends up like killing everything every game somehow, and I don't really know often how it happens, but it does. So I don't know, like it's just it's difficult to play with like a guy who is this good in jungle and understands the map really well. It's like it just takes time for other people to like match him, I would say. Maybe in EU Masters there's gonna be better junglers and more like better teams, I would say, and then maybe it will look different, but he's still probably the best jungler in ERLs, and it's just how it is.
Yeah, it appears so. Last question for you. You're pretty much secured. You guys are secured on the playoffs and pretty much on the first place. Can we expect something different from a best of 3? Like, are you guys testing new stuff, spicy picks as well? Are you guys focusing on the meta right now?
I think it's gonna be even easier in best of 3s for us. I don't think we like best of 1 can always like oopsies can happen and mistakes can happen. That's also the only reason why we got a loss. It's because it was a best of 1. I would say in best of 3s, like it's just gonna be easier for us because we can play everything.
Okay, so yeah, tell me.
Yeah, no, like probably our enemy will be Excel, and they are drafting random stuff all the time. And I think against a good team, first of all they can't do that because they will just get punished. And yeah, I think it just benefits us best of threes because we play everything and we are really good at it.
So it seems like it's going to be like a speed run, any percentage for the X7 at the playoffs. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much for the interview, Jäger. It's always a pleasure. And congratulations on the first Penta.
Thank you.
See you soon. X7 looking more solid than ever. Every single week, they step up. They bring a more solid composition. Haro is just a beast in the jungle. It's really hard to deal with Haro in the jungle. Timp is also solid as well. The bot side, Kasing and Nata, at least on this game, they shivered a little bit versus Michigo. This is exactly the person that I'm going to talk with. Michigo, hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing really, really good. It's going to be, so far, it has been a beautiful day. Okay, looking into MNM. Obviously, it is not the result that you were expecting, but the bot lane did really good versus Nata Kasing. How did you guys prepare that game? Was like an all-in, okay, we got Misfortune, we got Nautilus, we got to use this duo to get the advantage on the bot side?
I mean, generally, I just like picking a lot of champs that not a lot of people play, and a lot of champs like Misfortune and like the Varus and stuff like this are not really played, and they are like really good answers to just blind picks like Jinx. So I think blinding Jinx, if you know how to counter it, is pretty easy for the team countering it. But yeah, it wasn't enough.
So you believe when we get into the best of 3, the blind pick Jinx B1 is it's not going to be used as much as we see on the best of 1, right?
I think it will be used pretty often because I don't think a lot of people have very unique champion pools. Like, I think I am one of the better mage players at least, and a lot of mages are really good into Jinx, for example.
I think that's a big strength of you. Like, you playing with the mages on the bot side is also something really interesting to watch, and probably one of the reasons that your team is stepping up. So tell me, I don't know if I have a lot of time to talk with you, but looking into the MNM schedule, it's not the easiest, obviously. What is your ideas going into the end of the split?
I mean, not a lot. It isn't really up to us, right? So better luck next split, I guess.
But you still believe you can do it, right?
Of course, of course. Never surrender. I will 1v9 every other game that we will play, for sure.
Okay, I like to see that MNM just going strong until the end of the split. Thank you so much for this interview. I had so many questions, but we got to do it on another day. And good luck next week, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There you go. MNM are still fighting. It's going to be a tough one, obviously. There's not a lot of slots to go into the playoffs, and every single game is going to count, like the next one. Nuriki versus Singularity. For Nuriki, they might be able to get the lead, just as Trouble was talking on the pre-show. But for Singularity, this could be their first victory and actually destroy the hopes of Nuriki. So stick around. It's going to be a fun one, and I'll see you soon.